10 songs, 10 voices that changed everything, but you've never heard of them.
Living in darkness to hide our wrong.
The 1960s gave us Motown, Stax, all the hits you know. But what about the ones that got buried? Small labels, no money, no promotion, just pure soul.
If you should lose me.
Songs that should have been classics, artists who should have been legends. One of them recorded the original. The famous version? That came later.
Even put me down, still I'll be there.
Most people still don't know. This is the real story of 60s R&B. The songs they forgot, the voices they ignored, until now. Number 10, James Carr, The Dark End of the Street. Close your eyes for a second. Picture this: Memphis, Tennessee, 1967. A small studio and a man with a voice so full of pain that when he opens his mouth, everyone in the room just stops and listens.
Always me, hiding in shadows.
That's James Carr. And this song, this is the one that defines deep soul. Dan Penn and Chips Moman wrote The Dark End of the Street in about 30 minutes. They were at a music convention in Memphis, taking a break from a poker game.
Where we don't belong, living in dark.
The topic of cheating came up, not cards, relationships, and they just started writing. Penn later said the song wrote itself. They went to Quentin Clonch's hotel room and knocked it out before midnight.
At the dark end of the street.
The lyrics are about two people having a secret love affair, meeting where nobody can see them, hiding in the shadows, knowing what they're doing is wrong, but unable to stop.
You and me. I know.
James Carr recorded it at Royal Studios in Memphis, produced by Quentin Clonch and Roosevelt Jameson, released on Goldwax Records in January 1967. The song hit number 10 on the Billboard R&B chart.
It's gonna take its toll. We have
Number 77 on the pop chart. That might not sound huge, but for a small Memphis label going up against Motown and Stax, that was a victory. The way James sings it though, that's what makes it legendary. The song opens with heavy reverb on the guitar.
of the street. That's where we.
Then James comes in at the dark end of the street. His voice cracks. It breaks. You can hear actual pain, not acting, real emotion.
To hide our wrong, you and me.
The backing vocals come in like a church choir. Gospel meeting the blues, gospel meeting heartbreak. The horns are subtle, just supporting his voice, never overpowering it. This song became a soul standard. Aretha Franklin recorded it, so did Percy Sledge. Graham Parsons did a country version with the Flying Burrito Brothers. Linda Ronstadt sang it.
If we should meet, just walk on by.
Even the band from the movie The Commitments covered it. Everyone who touches this song respects it because it's perfect. It's a 2-minute and 35-second masterpiece.
Darling, please don't cry.
Fun fact, Dan Penn, who co-wrote the song, also sang the backing vocals on James Carr's recording. He said later in interviews that nobody ever sang the song as good as James Carr did.
We're both downtown.
Not even him, not Otis Redding, not Aretha, nobody. James owned it from day one. But here's the tragedy. James Carr never became a household name.
Have to pay for the love we stole.
Goldwax Goldwax Records was tiny compared to Stax and High Records, the other big Memphis labels. They didn't have the money to promote their artists nationally. They couldn't get the songs on pop radio outside the South.
Keeps coming on strong.
So even when James had a hit, it stayed regional. Only people who really knew soul music knew his name. And James himself struggled. He suffered from bipolar disorder. Depression hit him hard.
It's gonna take its toll.
Sometimes he'd be on stage and just freeze up. Cancel shows at the last minute, disappear for months. The medicine they gave him made things worse. He'd tour, but the stress would break him down. In the 70s, he basically stopped performing.
Still away to the dark end.
Just vanished. People forgot about him. When he finally came back in the 80s and 90s, critics and soul fans celebrated him, called him one of the greatest vocalists of all time. But it was too late for mainstream success.
It's a sin and we know it's wrong.
He died of lung cancer in 2001, 58 years old. Never got the recognition he deserved while he could really enjoy it. That's why this song hits different when you know the story. This isn't just a song about hiding love. It's about a man who gave everything to his music and got almost nothing back. A voice that should have been on every radio station in America, but wasn't. Because the business didn't care about small labels. Didn't care about artists who couldn't tour constantly. Didn't care about mental health. James Carr sang about being at the dark end of the street. And in a way, that's where his career stayed. In the shadows, hidden.
We should meet, just walk on by.
Beautiful, heartbreaking, but number 9 on this list, that's a song by someone who broke every rule and still made it happen. Number 9, Barbara Lynn, You'll Lose a Good Thing. Texas, 1962. A 20-year-old woman walks into a studio with a guitar. She's left-handed. She wrote the song herself. And she's about to prove that women can do everything men can do in music. Better even, her name is Barbara Lynn. And this song changed the game. Barbara Lynn grew up in Beaumont, Texas. Started on piano as a kid. But when she picked up the guitar, that was it. She played it left-handed, upside down.
You should lose me.
Didn't matter. She made it work. She formed an all-girl band called Bobby Lynn and Her Idols, played local clubs, won talent shows, got noticed. A singer named Joe Barry saw her perform and introduced her to Huey P. Moe.
Oh yeah, you lose a good thing.
A producer who ran Sugar Hill Recording Studios in New Orleans. Moe heard Barbara's songs and knew she had something special. So they went to record at Cosimo Matassa's J&M studio.
Lose me. Oh yeah.
The same place where Fats Domino and Little Richard recorded their hits. Mac Rebennack was on piano for the session. You know him better as Dr. John. Even back then, he was a genius on the keys.
You know I love you.
Barbara co-wrote You'll Lose a Good Thing with Huey P. Moe. The song is a warning. She's telling someone, look, if you keep taking me for granted, you're going to lose me. And when you do, you're going to realize what you had. The melody is simple but beautiful.
You lose a good thing.
Her voice is smooth, confident. She sounds like Sam Cooke if Sam Cooke was a woman from Texas. Jamie Records released it in 1962. The song hit number 1 on the R&B chart, number 8 on the pop chart, national success. At 20 years old, as a woman, playing her own guitar, writing her own songs, this was revolutionary. Radio stations played it constantly. She performed on American Bandstand,
Just try, Daddy, and you
toured with James Brown, Otis Redding, Gladys Knight, all the big names. The Rolling Stones liked her so much they recorded her song, "Oh Baby, We Got a Good Thing Going," in 1965.
If you'll only straighten up, we'll have a good.
Put it on their album, The Rolling Stones Now. Aretha Franklin covered "You'll Lose a Good Thing." So did Freddie Fender, who took it to number 1 on the country charts in 1976.
Life, 'cause if you should lose me.
14 years after Barbara's version. That's how good the song is. It works in R&B. It works in country. It works anywhere. Fun facts. When Barbara Lynn recorded "You'll Lose a Good Thing,"
Daddy, and you lose a good thing.
she was one of the only women in the entire music industry who wrote her own songs, sang lead, and played guitar. Most female artists were told to just sing what was given to them. Stand there and look pretty. Let the men handle the instruments. Barbara said no, she did it all. And she did it left-handed.
Just try, Daddy, and you lose a good thing.
But even with a number 1 hit, Barbara Lynn never became a superstar like Aretha or Diana Ross. Why? Same reason as always. Her label, Jamie Records, was small. They didn't have the national reach of Motown or Atlantic.
Just try, Daddy, and you lose.
After a few more singles in the mid-60s, Barbara got married, had kids. The record company wasn't promoting her right. She got frustrated, so she stepped back from music. She'd perform here and there, release a single on a tiny label, tour Japan.
One more chance for you to do right.
But she never got that big album deal, never got the respect she deserved. In 1999, the Rhythm and Blues Foundation gave her a Pioneer Award. Finally, some recognition.
Just try.
In 2018, she got a National Heritage Fellowship, but by then, she was 76 years old. Think about that. A woman who wrote and performed a number 1 hit at age 20, who played guitar when women weren't supposed to, who toured with legends.
This is my last time, not asking anymore.
And she had to wait 57 years to get honored by the government. That's the story of the music industry in the 60s. If you were on a small label, you could have all the talent in the world and still get forgotten. Barbara Lynn proved she belonged with the best.
And you lose a good thing.
But the business never gave her the platform. Now here's the thing, the next song on this list, it's got an even crazier story because the B-side became more famous than the A-side, and it all started with one woman's voice in New Orleans. Number 8, Irma Thomas. Anyone who knows what love is will understand. New Orleans, 1964. A woman walks into a recording studio. She's known as the Soul Queen of New Orleans, and she's about to record 2 songs that will change her life. One will fade away, the other will blow up, but not the way you think. Irma Thomas. Anyone who knows what love is. Irma Thomas grew up singing in church. Gospel music runs through her veins, but she wanted to sing secular music too, R&B soul. She started performing in New Orleans clubs as a teenager.
And still I'll care for you.
By the early 60s, she was making records, singing her heart out on small labels that barely had money for studio time. In 1964, she signed with Imperial Records, a bigger label with better distribution. Producer Eddie Ray brought her into the studio with a song written by Jeannie Seely and Randy Newman.
You can run around.
Yes, that Randy Newman. Before he was famous for his own songs, he was writing for other people. This one was called Anyone Who Knows What Love Is Will Understand. The song is a defense. Irma singing to someone who's judging her relationship.
Can blame me. Try to shame me.
Maybe her friends don't approve. Maybe her family thinks she's making a mistake, but she's saying, look, if you've ever been in love, you'll understand why I'm doing this. You'll get it. It's not your place to judge. The way Irma sings it is powerful. Her voice is full of defiance, pride, vulnerability, all at the same time. The production is lush, strings, horns, a slow, steady beat. It sounds expensive, sounds major league.
They don't know what happiness or true love.
Imperial released it in 1964. It hit number 29 on the R&B chart, number 52 on the pop chart. Not a smash hit, but respectable. The song could have been forgotten after that, just another decent single from the 60s. But then something happened. Decades later, the TV show Black Mirror used this song multiple times in different episodes, and suddenly people who had never heard of Irma Thomas were searching for this song, streaming it, discovering her voice. The song got a second life in the 2000s. 50 years after it was recorded. Fun fact, the song everyone remembers from that recording session isn't this one, it's the B-side, a song called Time Is On My Side. The Rolling Stones heard Irma's version and recorded their own just months later.
Can be.
Their version went to number 6 in America, became their first big hit in the United States. So Irma's version never got the same attention, even though she recorded it first, even though her version is, in many people's opinion, better. And that's the problem. Irma Thomas recorded incredible songs. Her voice was as good as anyone's. Aretha, Etta James, anybody. But Imperial Records couldn't compete with the major labels. They didn't have the money, the connections, the power, so Irma's singles would chart for a few weeks and then disappear. Meanwhile, white British bands like the Rolling Stones could take the same songs, record them, and get massive radio play. Irma knew what was happening. She talked about it in interviews, said it hurt to see other people succeed with her songs while she struggled to make a living.
Who knows what love is, honey?
But she didn't let bitterness destroy her. She kept singing, kept performing in New Orleans, became a legend in her hometown, just not a household name everywhere else. She's still alive, by the way, still performing. In 2024, at the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival, she got on stage with the Rolling Stones and sang Time Is On My Side with Mick Jagger. 50 years after they took her song, she finally got her moment, standing on stage. Singing her song, getting the respect she always deserved. But it shouldn't have taken 50 years. That's the tragedy. That's why songs like Anyone Who Knows What Love Is are so important, because they remind us that talent isn't enough.
anyone.
You need luck, timing, the right label, the right moment, and even then, you might not get what you deserve. Speaking of getting overlooked, the next song on this list is from an artist who had one of the smoothest voices in soul music. But you've probably never heard her name. Number 7, Betty Swan, Make Me Yours. Shreveport, Louisiana, 1967. A young woman with a voice like velvet walks into a recording studio. The producer plays her a track. She listens, nods, and then she sings in a way that makes everyone in the room lean forward. That's the power of Betty Swan. Make Me Yours is seduction in song form. It's not aggressive. It's not desperate. It's confident, feminine, powerful. Betty sings about wanting someone to commit, to make her theirs and only theirs. But she's not begging, she's inviting. There's a difference. Her voice glides over the track, smooth, controlled. She knows exactly what she's doing. The song was produced by Arthur Wright and released on Money Records in 1967. Money Records was a small Los Angeles label. They specialized in soul music, had a few regional hits, but they were nowhere near the size of Motown or Stax. The production on Make Me Yours is beautiful. The drums have this hypnotic groove. The bass line is simple but infectious. The guitar adds little melodic touches, and those strings. The strings wrap around Betty's voice like a warm embrace. The song hit number 21 on the R&B chart, number 38 on the pop chart. Decent numbers, not huge, but enough to get attention in the soul music world. Radio DJs in black communities played it. People bought the single. Betty started getting bookings for live shows. In the UK, the Northern Soul scene discovered Make Me Yours in the 70s. DJs started playing it at all-night dance parties in places like Manchester and Blackpool. The tempo was perfect for dancing. The groove was irresistible. British soul fans, mostly working-class white kids, fell in love with this song. They made it a cult classic. Even though it hadn't been a massive hit in America, it became legendary in England. Fun fact, Betty Swan recorded Make Me Yours when she was in her early 20s. She'd been singing since she was a teenager, performing in clubs, doing talent shows, trying to get noticed. When Make Me Yours started climbing the charts, she thought this was it. Her breakthrough moment, but Money Records didn't have the resources to push her to the next level. They couldn't afford national tours, couldn't get her on big TV shows, so she stayed regional. And that's the heartbreak of this story. Betty Swan had the voice. She had the look. She had the songs. What she didn't have was a major label with deep pockets. After Make Me Yours, she released a few more singles. Some charted, most didn't. By the early 70s, she was out of the music business. Just like that, a voice that good, gone. She came back occasionally, did some recording in the 80s and 90s. But by then, the industry had changed. The sound had evolved. Soul music wasn't topping the charts anymore. Betty's style was seen as old-fashioned, so she never got that second chance at mainstream success. When you listen to Make Me Yours today, it still sounds fresh, still sounds modern. That's how good it is. Betty Swan wasn't behind the times. The industry was just behind her. They didn't see what she could be, didn't invest, didn't care. And we lost one of the great voices of the 60s because of it. The next song, though, it's raw, it's live, it's pure energy captured on tape, and the man singing it became a legend, but not because of this version. Number 6, The Falcons, I Found a Love. Detroit, 1962, a nightclub packed with people, sweaty, loud, electric. On stage, a group called the Falcons, and the lead singer is about to explode with so much power that the crowd loses their minds. That lead singer? Wilson Pickett. Before he became the Wicked Pickett, before the solo hits, this is where it started. I Found a Love was recorded live. Not in a fancy studio, in a club, with a real crowd, real energy, real sweat. You can hear people screaming in the background, clapping, shouting back at the singers. That's what makes this recording special. It's not polished, it's raw. It's what soul music sounds like when it's happening right in front of you. The Falcons were a group from Detroit. They'd been around since the late 50s, had a few minor hits, but nothing major. Wilson Pickett joined them in 1960. He was young, hungry, full of fire. When he sang lead, he didn't just sing, he attacked the song. He made you feel every word. I Found a Love is about exactly what it sounds like, finding love, finally, after searching, after heartbreak, after giving up, and then, boom, there it is, the real thing. Wilson Pickett sings it like he's testifying in church. His voice goes from smooth to rough in seconds. He shouts, he pleads, he celebrates. The call and response with the crowd is electric. He sings a line, they scream back. He sings another line, they scream louder. Robert West produced the session for Lupine Records. A small Detroit label. They released it as a single in 1962. It hit number 6 on the R&B chart, number 75 on the pop chart. For a live recording on a tiny label, that was impressive. But more importantly, it got Wilson Pickett noticed. Atlantic Records signed him in 1964, and the rest is history. In the Midnight Hour, Land of 1,000 Dances, Mustang Sally, he became a solo star. But here's the thing. I Found a Love is, in many people's opinion, Wilson Pickett's best vocal performance ever. It's raw, unfiltered, emotional, powerful. Everything he did later was great, but it was more polished, more produced. This is pure Wilson Pickett. No safety net, just his voice and a live crowd. Fun fact, the recording quality on I Found a Love is rough. You can hear crowd noise, microphones clipping, instruments slightly out of tune, but that's what makes it real. In the 60s, most R&B records were cleaned up in the studio. made to sound perfect for radio. But Lupine Records didn't have the money for that, so they released it as is, and it worked because the energy was undeniable. The reason this song is underrated is simple. Once Wilson Pickett went solo, I Found a Love got forgotten. Atlantic Records reissued it later, put it on compilations, but by then everyone knew Wilson for his solo work. The Falcons became a footnote, a where he started story, not the main event. And that's unfair, because this recording deserves to be talked about alongside the greatest live soul performances ever captured. It's up there with James Brown at the Apollo, Otis Redding at Monterey. This is history, captured on tape, rough, real, perfect in its imperfection. Next up, a song that's so heartbreaking, it's hard to listen to without feeling something deep in your chest. Number 5, Doris Duke, To the Other Woman, I'm the Other Woman.
Real you.
Los Angeles, 1969, a small studio. A woman sits at the microphone. She's about to confess something painful, something most people would never say out loud.
Other woman, so to me that's nothing new.
She's singing to the wife of the man she loves, and she's admitting that she's the other woman. Doris Duke, To the Other Woman. Let me set the scene for you. This song is not what you expect. It's not angry. It's not defensive. It's sad, resigned, full of quiet pain.
I say yes, I know my man.
Doris is singing to the woman whose husband she's seeing, and she's saying, I know this hurts you. I know I'm wrong, but I can't stop. I love him, and I'm sorry. The lyrics are devastating. She sings about how she knows the other woman deserves better.
I know I'm number 2, but all you.
How she wishes things were different, but they're not. And so here they are, both trapped, both hurt, both loving the same man who's lying to both of them. Jerry Williams Jr. produced the track, released on Canyon Records, a tiny Los Angeles label.
They say please don't get offended.
The production is lush, strings, gentle drums, a slow, haunting melody. Doris Duke's voice is soft, controlled. She doesn't oversing. She doesn't add unnecessary runs or shouts.
They're only trying to help me so I won't mess up my life.
She just tells a story. Simple, honest, heartbreaking. The song never charted nationally, didn't get radio play outside of a few soul stations in California, but it became a cult classic. DJs in the UK Northern Soul scene found it in the 70s, started playing it.
She has no reason for the night.
And suddenly, this forgotten song had a whole new life overseas. British soul fans fell in love with it. Not because it was danceable, it's too slow for that, but because it was real, it was honest, it was everything pop music usually isn't.
'Cause to the other woman, I'm the other woman.
Fun fact, Doris Duke was a white woman singing deep soul music, and that created problems for her career. In the 60s, soul music was primarily made by and for black communities.
And come between his obligations to his wife and family.
Record labels didn't know how to market a white woman singing this style. Radio stations that played black music were hesitant to play her records, and white pop stations said her music was too soulful, so she fell through the cracks. Too black for white radio, too white for black radio, even though her voice and her music were incredible.
To him, I'll just have been another woman, and
And that's why Doris Duke never made it big. The industry couldn't figure out where to put her. She released music on several small labels throughout the 60s and 70s. A single here, an album there, but nothing ever took off.
The woman will always be his wife.
She had the talent, just not the right circumstances. When you listen to the Other Woman today, it still hits. It's timeless. The emotions are universal. The production is beautiful. Doris Duke's voice is stunning.
I know I'm number two,
but you've probably never heard it before because the song was on a label nobody remembers, because it didn't fit neatly into a category, because the business didn't know what to do with it. That's the tragedy of the 60s soul scene. So many great artists got lost.
But all you so-called friends with your supposedly...
Not because they weren't good enough, but because the system wasn't built for them. And speaking of artists who got lost in the system, number 4 is where things get complicated.
And the other woman, she's his wife.
Because this song, it was the original, but someone else made it famous. And that's where the real story begins. Number 4, O.V. Wright. That's How Strong My Love Is.
64. Yours truly walked up to the mic.
Memphis, 1964, High Record Studios. A man stands at the microphone. His name is O.V. Wright, and he's about to record a song that will become a soul standard. But here's the twist. Most people will never know he did it first. Remember at the beginning when I said there's a story you don't know? This is it. That's How Strong My Love Is was written by Roosevelt Jameson. Produced by Willie Mitchell, the same Willie Mitchell who later produced Al Green's biggest hits. But in 1964, he was still building his sound, still figuring out how to blend gospel, blues, and soul into something magical. O.V. Wright was perfect for this song. His voice has this aching quality, like he's carrying the weight of the world. But there's hope in it too, strength. The song is about devotion, about loving someone so much that you'll be anything they need. The sun, the moon, the shore, the sea, whatever it takes. O.V. sings it with so much emotion that you believe every word. The horns come in at just the right moments. The rhythm section keeps it steady. Willie Mitchell knew how to build a song, how to let the voice breathe, how to make every element support the emotion.
Wait a minute. If I were
The song was released on Backbeat Records, a subsidiary of Goldwax, in 1964. It hit number 48 on the R&B chart, not a big hit, but enough to get noticed. Soul fans in the South knew the song, knew
the land, and that's a bad situation to be in.
O.V. Wright, respected him as one of the great voices coming out of Memphis. But then something happened. In 1965, Otis Redding recorded the same song for Stax Records.
That had been cast.
And Otis was on a major label with major distribution, major promotion. His version got played on radio stations across the country, hit number 18 on the R&B chart, number 74 on the pop chart, better than O.V.'s number.
Cast upon the land, and that's a bad situation to be in.
And suddenly, when people thought of That's How Strong My Love Is, they thought of Otis Redding. Some people say O.V. felt disrespected, felt like his song got stolen. Others say he understood the business, knew how it worked. That covers happen.
From a rolling stone.
let small labels get overshadowed by big ones. In interviews over the years, different people told different versions of the story. What we know for sure is this: O.V. Wright never got the credit he deserved for recording the original.
From a rolling stone.
Otis Redding's version became the classic. The Rolling Stones covered Otis's version in 1965, not O.V.'s. When music historians talk about the song, they usually mention Otis first. Sometimes they don't mention O.V. at all, and that's not just about one song.
Baby, I'd walk you home.
It's about a pattern. Small labels in Memphis, Goldwax, Backbeat, High Records before Al Green, they were putting out incredible music, but they couldn't compete with Stax and Motown, couldn't afford national ad campaigns.
Oh, that's how strong.
Couldn't get their artists on TV, couldn't pay for big tours. So artists like O.V. Wright became legends in the South, in black communities, among people who really knew soul music, but they never crossed over to mainstream success, never got the recognition they earned.
That's how strong my love is.
Fun fact, O.V. Wright kept recording through the 60s and 70s, had several R&B hits, songs like A Nickel and a Nail and Ace of Spades. He's considered one of the greatest voices in Southern soul, but if you ask random people on the street if they know who O.V., Wright is, most will say no. Ask them about Otis Redding, they'll say yes. That's the difference a major label makes. That's why this song isn't just music, it's history. It's a reminder that what we remember isn't always what happened first.
Even me in the wind, baby.
That the version that becomes famous isn't always the best version. And that artists on small labels, no matter how talented, often get forgotten. O.V. Wright deserved better. His version of That's How Strong My Love Is,
You would let me hold your hand.
deserves to be recognized as the original, as a masterpiece, not as a footnote in Otis Redding's story. But that's the music business. That's the reality. And that's why we're here, to tell these stories.
Oh, that's how strong. That's how strong.
To make sure these artists don't stay forgotten. Now, the next song on this list takes us even further back, to the foundation of soul music.
I stop for a moment. Oh, yes, I would.
To a group that influenced everyone but never got their flowers. Number 3, the 5 Royales. Think.
That I spent with you. Think of all the good things.
Let me take you back, not to the 60s, but to 1957, because this song, even though it came out in the 50s, was re-released and re-promoted in the early 60s, and it laid the foundation for everything that came after. The 5 Royales.
Of all the bad things I try not to do.
Think. If you don't know this group, that's a crime, because James Brown built his entire sound on what they were doing. The hard-driving rhythm, the shouting vocals, the guitar work, all of it came from the 5 Royales.
So come on, baby,
And Think is the song that shows you how it worked. The song opens with this guitar riff, fast, urgent, cutting through everything. That's Low Man Pauling on guitar, and he was doing things in 1957 that guitar players wouldn't catch up to for another decade. The way he bends notes, the way he attacks the strings. This is proto-rock and roll, proto-funk, proto-everything. The lyrics are simple. The singer is telling someone to stop and think before they walk away.
about the good good thing.
Think about what they're losing. Think about what they're giving up. But it's the way they sing it that matters. It's aggressive, urgent, desperate. The harmonies are tight. The energy is relentless. This isn't smooth soul.
That I've done for you.
This is raw. This is the sound of gospel music meeting rhythm and blues and creating something new. King Records released Think in 1957. King Records was based in Cincinnati.
Think of all the time.
They put out blues, R&B, country, everything. James Brown was on King Records, so were a lot of other important artists. But King had terrible distribution outside of regional markets, so unless you lived in the South or the Midwest,
think about the sacrifices that are made for you.
You probably never heard the 5 Royales. But the people who did hear them, they were changed. James Brown heard Think and said, "That's what I want to do." He modeled his whole stage presence and sound around the 5 Royales.
Remember which was the fault.
Little Richard was influenced by them. So were early rock and rollers. Anyone who wanted to make music with energy and power looks to the 5 Royales as the blueprint. Fun fact, Loman
About the right thing.
Pauling, the guitarist, was one of the most innovative players of the 50s and 60s. But he never got famous, never got recognized as a guitar hero the way people like Chuck Berry or B.B. King did, even though he was doing things they weren't.
That's what I thought. So come on, sugar, and think.
Why? Because he was on King Records. Because the 5 Royales never crossed over to pop audiences. Because he was ahead of his time and nobody realized it until it was too late. When rock historians started digging into the roots of rock and roll in the 70s and 80s,
About the good thing.
they finally discovered the 5 Royales. Finally gave them credit, but by then, most of the members had passed away. Loman Pauling died in 1973. He never saw his influence recognized. Never got the accolades he deserved while he was alive to enjoy them. That's the pattern you're seeing here. Over and over. Great artists, great songs, but no major label support, no national distribution.
I tried so hard to please you.
No recognition until decades later, if at all. The 5 Royales didn't just influence soul music. They influenced rock, funk, R&B, everything. Think is one of the most important songs in American music history. But you've probably never heard it, and that's a shame, a tragedy, a failure of the music industry to preserve and promote its own history.
About the right thing.
We're getting close to the end now. The next song is from a girl group you've never heard of, on a label you definitely know, and it's beautiful. Number 2, the Charmels, As Long As I've Got You. Memphis, 1967, Stax Records, the same label that gave us Otis Redding, Sam and Dave, Isaac Hayes, Booker T, and the MGs, one of the most important soul labels in history. And in the middle of all that success, there was a girl group called the Charmels. They released one perfect song and then disappeared. As Long As I've Got You. Close your eyes and imagine this. 3 young women harmonizing, their voices blending like they were born to sing together. The production is pure Stax, tight rhythm section, Tasteful horns, strings that lift the melody, nothing overdone, everything in its right
As long as I've got you. As long as I've got you.
place. The song is about devotion, about being grateful for love, about knowing that as long as you have that one person, everything else will be okay. Written by Homer Banks and Alan Jones.
If happiness was water,
Produced by David Porter. If you know Stax Records, you know those names. Homer Banks co-wrote Who's Making Love and If Loving You Is Wrong. David Porter was one half of the legendary songwriting duo Isaac Hayes and David Porter.
never run dry.
These were top-tier Stax people working on this record. The label believed in the Charmels, gave them good songs, good production, everything they needed to succeed. The song was released in 1967 on Volt Records, a Stax subsidiary.
Water, I never run dry.
And it should have been a hit. The quality is there. The voices are beautiful. The song is catchy, but it never charted. Never got radio play outside of Memphis. Never became what it should have been.
Loneliness was a flower.
Fun fact, the Charmels never released a full album, just a handful of singles. And then they were gone. Stax Records was focused on promoting their bigger acts. Otis Redding was at the peak of his career. Sam and Dave were unstoppable.
It would wither and die.
Carla Thomas was a star. The Charmels, as talented as they were, just didn't get the attention, the promotion, the push, so they faded away.
The whole world is our private playground.
Quietly, without fanfare. And that's the problem with being on a major label but not being the priority. Stax Records had resources, had distribution, had connections.
To do what we want to do. As
But they also had a roster of superstars. And when you're not the superstar, you get lost. Even if your music is just as good, girl groups in the 60s faced an extra challenge. The music industry saw them as less important than male artists, less serious, more disposable.
so tired of being hurt, and
They get one or two singles, and if those didn't hit immediately, the label would move on. No second chances, no building a career over time. You were either an instant hit or you were dropped. The Charmels deserved better.
didn't want a boyfriend. Hey, baby.
As Long as I've Got You deserved better. This song should be on oldie stations, should be in movies and TV shows, should be recognized as one of the great Stax Records cuts.
I feel free as a bird. Fly.
But it's not, because it came out at the wrong time, on the wrong subsidiary, without the right push. That's the reality. Talent isn't enough. Quality isn't enough. You need timing, luck. The right people fighting for you. The Charmels had everything except that last part. And now, number one. The funkiest, most underrated song on this entire list. Get ready.
If this song just hits you in that quiet place, don't let this moment be a one-time thing. Subscribe to Demo. We're building a home for real R&B and soul. The kind that heals, the kind that tells the truth. Hit subscribe and come back whenever you need a song that understands you.
Number one. Eddie Floyd. Big Bird. Memphis, 1968, Stax Records. Eddie Floyd walks into the studio with Steve Cropper. They've got a groove in their heads, something funky, something different from the ballads Eddie usually sings. They want to make people dance, move. forget their troubles for 3 minutes, and what they create is pure, undiluted funk. Big Bird. Let me paint the picture. The song starts with this guitar riff, chicken scratch funk guitar, sharp, percussive, cutting through the air. Then the bass comes in, deep. Groovy, making your head nod before you even realize it. The horns hit, short stabs, punctuating the rhythm. And then Eddie Floyd comes in, his voice raspy and energetic, shouting, celebrating, having fun. The song is about a dance, about a feeling. About letting go. Eddie's not trying to be deep here, not trying to make you cry. He's trying to make you move. And it works. This song is pure energy, pure joy, pure funk.
I'm coming up to you.
Booker T and the MGs played on the track. The greatest rhythm section in soul music history. Steve Cropper on guitar, Donald Duck Dunn on bass, Al Jackson Jr. on drums, Booker T. Jones on organ. These are the same musicians who played on Otis Redding's records, on Sam and Dave's records, on every major Stax hit. They knew how to make a groove that felt effortless but was actually precise, tight. Perfect. Eddie Floyd and Steve Cropper wrote Big Bird together. Steve Cropper was Stax's main guitarist and producer. He'd co-written Knock on Wood, Eddie's biggest hit. They had chemistry, understood each other's style. When they got in the studio, magic happened. The song was released in 1968, and it should have been huge. The funk movement was starting. James Brown was pushing music in that direction. Sly and the Family Stone were blending funk with rock. The time was right for a song like Big Bird, but it never charted, never got the attention it deserved. Fun fact, Big Bird became a favorite among funk and soul DJs decades later. In the 80s and 90s, when hip-hop producers started digging for samples, they found songs like this, old funk tracks that never charted but had the perfect break, the perfect groove. Big Bird got a second life in DJ sets and underground parties. The people who knew, knew. But in 1968, radio wasn't interested. They wanted soul songs with a message. The civil rights movement was at its peak. Martin Luther King Jr. had just been assassinated. Radio stations wanted songs that spoke to that moment. Songs with weight, substance. A fun, funky dance song felt out of place. Felt trivial, even though music is allowed to be fun, allowed to be an escape, allowed to just make you feel good. Stax Records was also starting to have financial problems by 1968.
Fasten your seatbelts.
Their distribution deal with Atlantic Records was ending. They were losing money, couldn't promote new singles the way they used to. So even though Eddie Floyd was a proven artist, even though Big Bird was a great song, it got lost in the chaos. And that's why this song is #1 on this list, because it represents everything we've been talking about. Incredible talent, great production, perfect execution, and absolutely no success. Not because it wasn't good enough, but because the circumstances weren't right. The timing was off. The industry didn't care. Eddie Floyd is best known for Knock on Wood. That's his legacy. That's what people remember. And it's a great song, no question. But Big Bird shows a different side of him, shows his range. His ability to just have fun with music, and it deserved to be heard, deserved to be a hit, deserved to be remembered. But it wasn't. And that's the story of 60s R&B in a nutshell. So many great songs, so many great artists.
Fasten your seatbelts. The captain.
Hidden, forgotten, overlooked, until someone like you decides to dig deeper, to look beyond the hits, to find the real treasures.